4th and goal to go to 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Man, someone just might lose the job. And I think you know who I'm talking about. B.O. Mr. Bowman there, right? Bowen, right? Right. It just, I don't know. Not doing a very good job. It's not doing a very good job. You know, a lot of the stuff that he had as his strength when he was at Tennessee, it's not really coming to fruition here. You know, one of the things he was good at, his defenses were good at, was obviously supposedly stopping the run. Well, that hasn't really happened here. But it was supposed to be good in the red zone as well, too. And that really hasn't happened so far this season either, you know. And, we got, as I said, we went out and we brought in Holland, right? Spent it, there are safeties. Went out and spent some money on Holland. 2nd round draft pick, right, on Newman, right? Those are the safeties. 3rd round pick on Phillips, who's really pretty good. He had a rough game last week because he was going up against ABCD Lamb, right? But then we had Flott, right? But we also spent the 1st round pick on Banks, too. And we also brought in Adebo, right? Spent some money on Adebo, right? We spent some money to bring in a Karake. Guys leads the league in tackles. Okay. Unfortunately, we got 3 of our inside linebackers, off-ball linebackers, whatever you want to call them, are going to pretty much be out. So after 2 games, we've 3 of our inside linebackers are gone for this game anyway. Can't catch a break. I said, but you got Brian Burns, a 1st round pick, Kayvon Thibodeau, 1st round pick, Sexy Dexy, 1st round pick, Carter, 1st round pick. Yeah, so we got some money, some draft, capital, and some money capital, right, on his defense. And wow, I'm not saying we got a big, we're only giving up 2 points a game and we should have 35 sacks already. I'm not saying that, but some of it also was, Sexy is our main man, and he's working his wind up. He's not, totally in game shape yet. And to some degree, the Cowboys had a lot of plays last week. Now, granted, it kind of goes both ways. Well, if you stop the Cowboys, their offense, you get off the field, they don't have to have as many plays, right? But, as the plays just started mounting up, the Giants' defense is just really, really freaking tired. Really tired. A lot of plays, a long game. But, the defense got to do better. Got to do better. All right. Giants have little chance against, this is from the New York Post. They write some very good articles. They have some very good writers. This is from Paul Schwartz. Giants have little chance against the Chiefs in the NFL worst defense if the NFL's worst defense doesn't wake up. NFL's worst defense. Did you actually think at any point in time during the season you'd actually hear New York Giants and NFL worst defense in the same sentence? This is less about buzzkill and more about projection mixed in with a sense of impending Giants reality. We can go ahead and predict that in any game for the remainder of the season, Russell Wilson will not throw for 450 yards again, as he did last weekend. That's true. The Giants will not have 7 receptions of 25 or more yards. Yeah, that's true. And it's quite possible the Giants do not surpass 37 points. Yeah, that's possible. 1 week should not completely inflate the expectations for what this offense will look like or how this squad is supposed to be balanced out. This team was built to play defense first and try to get the scoring up into the low to mid-20s. Take it from around 15 points a game. Could we get it to 20, 21? I mean, if you go up like 7 points in one season, that's a lot. That's a real lot. But if we could take it from like 15 points a game up to 20, we got some hope. Not to win a Super Bowl, but hope for, obviously get, at least a 500 record, This roster was fortified in the offseason to evolve into a top 10 defense. 2 weeks ago, the Giants are last in the NFL in defense, and if there is not significant improvement, this season will be a goner rather quickly. It was a shame, obviously, because you start looking, it's like, because Robert Saleh, he got let go from the Jets, and he's going back with the 49ers, It's like, some of these guys out there, it's like you start thinking, wow, we only had this defensive coordinator. If we only had that, this guy can really do good things with this guy, But we got Bowen. Ugh. This brings us to Sunday night. If ever there was a group that needed to come up big, it is the defense directed by coordinator Shane Bowen. The Chiefs arrived at MetLife Stadium for a nationally televised contest featuring two teams with 0-2 records. So it's big. Every game is big, but you don't want to go 0-3 and have playoff expectations or implication. Well, not implicated, but having hopes of making the playoffs and starting the season 0-3. Not that it can't be done. It can be. Not very easy. The Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl, and they had the look of a squad in possible decline. But they still had Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, Andy Reid calling the plays, and of course, Kelsey's out there too. So no one will be surprised if they leave New Jersey at 1-2, and talk of their demise is shelved for the time being. Now, let's not forget, I think it was last year too. I think they started off rather slow. It was either last year or the year before that. They started off a little slow as well too. And as time went on, they just picked it back up. It was just like business as usual, right? Before you know it, they were back in the Super Bowl once again, right? If this Giants defense, led by Dexter Lawrence, Burns, Kayvon, and Abdul Carter up front, and enough experience and skill on the back end, cannot make a stand and at least make Mahomes sweat this one out, it will be a grim sign for what is to come. When Bowen earlier this week said, we got things we got to fix, he wasn't kidding. I'd say I feel like in flashes we've shown what we can do, Burns said. Flashes are not going to get it done. Nope. Giants still cannot stop the run, allowing an NFL worst 177.5 yards per game. They have 6 sacks in 2 games. I mean, you look at that, right? Just think about it. It's 17-game schedule, right? It's 51 sacks. I think they had 44, 45 last year, right? But if they're on pace for about 50 sacks, I'll take that. No, it's not an NFL record, but I'll take 50 sacks, right? They are tied with 5 other teams. The Patriots lead the league with 9 sacks. 3 teams have 8 sacks and 3 have 7. So the Giants, let's say, okay, 9. 3 teams have 8. That's 1, and 3 have 7. So the Giants are tied for like 8th in sacks with a whole bunch of other teams. Giants never had the lead in their 21-6 opening loss to the Commanders, then competed at a decent enough level for 3 quarters in Dallas before giving up 20 points in the fourth quarter in a 40-37 overtime loss. So between the fourth quarter and overtime, the Giants gave up 23 points. They gave up more than half their points in the final 2 quarters. I said once again, they were tired. The Chiefs have yet to erupt on offense in 1-score losses to the Chargers and the Eagles. So what do we got? They scored, 38 points. So the Chiefs are not, they lost to 2 very good teams, though, right? Over-reliant on Mahomes, who has accounted for all 4 of his team's touchdowns, 2 passing and 2 running, and is the rushing leader, which is not a good sign. They know we have a big challenge with the Chiefs coming in, Bowen said on his defense. I mean, they're looking forward to the opportunity. They are, again, we're 2 games in. We're not where we want to be defensively. We have to improve. We all understand that. But at the same time, we got a great opportunity this week on Sunday Night Football to go out there and play against a really good offense, really good quarterback, and hopefully put our best foot forward. It's taken a week 3 for the Giants to get their home opener, and maybe that will spark their defense into action. We're extremely excited for the opportunity, said linebacker Bobby Okereke. We know the environment is going to be like Sunday night with our fans, how excited they are, and with this matchup, 2 0-2 teams that I don't think the record is indicative of talent level and proposed production level. Nope. The production level with an offense orchestrated by Wilson was paltry in week 1 and should have been more than enough in week 2. A home crowd that was energized seeing rookie Jackson Dart in the preseason gets its first look at Wilson with the Giants in a regular season game. And Wilson said, I'm excited about the challenge. A little bit of adversity is never a bad thing. It molds you. Well, that's true. That's true. But, the defense is just, once again, it's only 2 games. Let's not forget, okay, everything is obviously we're going back almost 20 years, but let's not forget, what the heck was it? The Giants, I went to the opening day game. We lost 45-35 in 2007. My son and I went to the opening day game in Dallas. We lost 45-35. Very exciting game. Giants made it 38-35 with a few minutes to go. And I think it was Sam Hurd, because I looked this up recently, he caught a 51-yard touchdown. It was 38-35 Dallas. And then they were just like walking up and down the field. It was just almost like you look at the Giants defense, the defense that held the 18-0 Patriots to 14 points in the Super Bowl. That defense, the Cowboys were just walking up and down the field. I think it was a 51-yard touchdown reception by Sam Hurd, who made the final score 45-35. Very exciting game. Yeah. But then in week 2, now to be fair, what the hell was it? I think it was 14-13, if I'm not mistaken, going into let's take a look at 2007 New York Giants against the Packers going into the fourth quarter. So it was anybody's game going in week 2 of 2007. Anybody's game. Okay, going into the fourth quarter. Packers scored 3 touchdowns in the last quarter to make it 35-13. So my point being is that the 2007 Super Bowl defense champion, New York Giants gave up 80 points first 2 games. And then, of course, they gave up, what the heck was it? They gave up 17 points. Let's think to the Redskins. Hope I didn't offend nobody by saying the word Redskins, because they were called the Redskins back then, right? So in 2.5 games, the 2007 team gave up almost 100 points. That defense. Then, of course, they had that goal line stand, and pretty much, not everything just like turned just like that, but we wound up winning the game, right? With under a minute to go. It gave us some hope and all of that, right? But let's see, 2007 Giants. I think New York. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, okay. So we were 45-35 to the Cowboys. Then it was, I think it was 14-13 going into the final quarter. Yeah, 14-13. The Packers scored 3 touchdowns in the final quarter. Donald Lee caught a 3-yard touchdown pass from Brett Favre. Donald Driver caught a 10-yard pass from Donald Driver, and Deshaun Wynn had 38-yard rush. So they scored 3 touchdowns. But going into the fourth quarter was 14-13, right? And then was it 17-3 at halftime? Yeah, 17-3 at halftime we were losing. Okay, so basically the Giants gave up in 2007, with that very good defense, right? They gave up 97 points in the first 2.5 games of the season. 97 points. They were actually on pace, between the first 2 games, they were averaging giving up 40 points a game in the first 2 games. Right? And then the Redskins scored 17 points in the first half. I was like, and we're losing 17-3. It's like, what the, but came back. Made it 20. Was it 24-17? We made it 24-17. The Redskins got down to the goal line, and they went for it obviously on fourth down late in the game, and made the goal line stand, and pretty much turned the whole season around. Instead of us being 0-3, we were 1-2, and we had a chance, right? So I mean, just because they give up doesn't mean, but. To be fair, we had Steve Spagnuolo. We had the group of guys, okay, and we had Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive coordinator. Now we have a nice group of guys, but we have Shane Bowen as our defensive coordinator. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, right? If we have another, stink fest or something like, it'll be interesting to see if heads start rolling during the season. Very, very interesting to say, Because let's not forget, we brought in a new defensive backs coach, right? And so interesting to say, very, very interesting to say. But hopefully the Giants, hopefully, let's hope.